right, take two. All right. So my name is Jennifer Compton. The impulse control disorder that I chose for my presentation was intermittent explosive disorder. So basically, I picked this because I feel like I can relate to it in ways. Like I have anger issues, per se. Um, I have been diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and most recently bipolar disorder. And I feel like bipolar disorder is definitely co-occurring with intermittent explosive disorder. It makes it hard to like control your reactions to things and easier to like explode and um so the organization that I came up with was called the Palms Behavioral Health Management. And the Palms, of course, because it's Florida. Plus, it seems like a relaxing kind of name for individuals with mood disorders. So basically, my organization, its roles within the community, include just supporting individuals who suffer from several mental health and behavioral health conditions, but also it does support community members in general because of the effects that IED can have on other people. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But my organization, it works with individuals with conduct disorders, PTSD, um, borderline personality disorders, major depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, dual diagnosis, and many more. So, an explanation for what intermittent explosive disorder is basically the uncontrollable urge to explode out of anger, violence, sometimes even. I don't really relate to that one, but I definitely relate to the anger one. I don't feel like I'm violent, at least. Um, but it ends up being an inappropriate response, basically. So it's like, whatever the circumstances are, it does not equal the reaction from individuals with IED. It's reoccurrent and frequent periods of excessive anger or rage. This disorder is treated in a variety of ways. So basically, psychotherapy, group therapy, and individual therapy. Um, I actually didn't even realize you would do group therapy for IED, to be honest with you. So that was interesting to learn. CBT options, medication treatment options. So like my diagnosis is what I've been diagnosed with. I do take medication, which has been seeming to help, but of course, it's not magic. Um, it's taken me a while to find the right dosage and the right prescriptions and stuff that help me. Outpatient and inpatient behavioral health services, stress reduction techniques, anger management, treatment programs. There's a few other ways to treat this disorder. I really listed the main ones that I felt like would help me in general. I do really feel like I have a bit of IED. I can definitely relate to it. um, so possible co-occurring disorder. Oh, I forgot to say. Um, the visual aid for my presentation is a brochure, and I will add that with the video. And I'm reading off of it, sort of, but I know I'm not supposed to, so I'm using it to guide me, really. Co-occurring disorders. So frequent co-occurring disorders with IED include ADHD, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, substance use disorders, anxiety disorders, depression. There's really a lot that can co-occur with IED. And they do relate in several ways. So like mood disorders can lead to explosive disorders or to an explosive reaction. So basically, like one thing can ruin my day, and it could happen at 8 a.m. and my day's ruined the rest of the day. And then by 5 p.m., it's like it's all bottled up, kind of like a soda you would shake, and then I just explode at the next thing. And it could be so little, it could be something so ridiculous that it definitely does not deserve that reaction at all. Um, I actually did not realize IED existed. Like, I didn't realize it was actual disorder until this course. So this assignment has helped me like open my eyes and see that I possibly have some issues that I need to work towards more. Um, More than just the other ones I've listed. I do have traumas from my past, so trauma can do that, that's for sure. Um, Substance use disorders are co-occurring also. So basically, like, I was a user, drugs and alcohol, mainly alcohol though. But when you're under the influence of any substance, alcohol, drugs, it doesn't matter. Alcohol is really the only legalized drug. And so, well, it's so okay, which is sad. But anyhow, so when you're under the influence of anything, um, it is harder to process stuff and like realize what you're reacting to and how you're reacting. And then, like, if something happens while you're under the influence, you can just kind of snap and react however you're going to react. You don't really think clearly. You're not thinking clearly or seeing things clearly. So, substance use disorders can definitely be a co occurring with IED. And it just makes it harder overall to maintain self control. So, I want to discuss the impact of this disorder on individuals, and then we'll go into the environment and society. So, individuals, the impact can basically be struggling in school or even being expelled from school. I've had somebody I knew back in like 8th grade where he just exploded and started throwing chairs and cursing and stuff, and he ended up getting expelled for that. Higher risk of mental health disorders, legal issues. Obviously, if you have IED and it goes so far to be violent, you're more likely going to have legal issues, whether it be because you broke somebody else's property or because you physically assaulted somebody. Financial problems. That's another issue because obviously, if you are struggling to work, you're going to have financial problems. And then, like, if you have a co occurring disorder, um, let's say substance abuse, you're spending all your money on the substances. Um, Hospitalization due to injuries, that's not going to be fun. Higher risk of cardiovascular issues, hypertension, stuff like that. So basically, even your health can be affected because of the added stress on your heart. Social impacts as far as relationships, friendships are all going to be, I wouldn't say ruined. Some would be. Now, family and stuff, I mean, but it's definitely going to have a major negative impact on your relationships. Now, let's discuss the environment and society. So basically, let's say somebody with IED is out in public and they just explode, and there's kids and stuff around, and the kids see this is traumatizing to them, even adults, traumatizing to adults too, not just kids. But so it becomes traumatizing, and it can affect their mental health, and then it can also lead them to become angry, just in general, because what they had to witness. I mean, especially if it depends if it's a violent act that you're committing, and these people have to watch. It's pretty scary. Um, Domestic abuse, road rage, violent attacks, threats of harm to others or even animals. Um, all of this can be environment and society impacts. And just in general, being around an event, let's say an event, where an individual with IED exploded, that can just cause general stress. I'm sure it's pretty scary to witness if you're not used to it. I believe I discussed treatment options. All right, so the resources that I found, I went ahead and found local resources because, as I said, I feel like I relate to IED, so I figured finding local resources would probably be cool. Mental Health Association of Indian River County. So I live in the border of Bureau and Fort Pierce. Actually, that Mental Health Association of Indian River County, they do a lot. I've used them as a resource for other presentations and projects and stuff. I did put their address and phone number. I'm not going to read their address, but I can read their phone number. Their phone number is 772-569-9788. A new one that I didn't realize existed was Cleveland Clinic Indian River Hospital Behavioral Health Center. Cleveland Clinic does a lot, like all over the United States, really, but definitely in this area. I did not realize that they had a behavioral health center, though, so I thought that was pretty neat. The phone number is 772-563-4444. The Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County, I've heard of them. I've used them for previous presentations. They do a lot as well. Their phone number is 772-217-3663. Legacy Behavioral Health Center. So I have heard of them. Really, it's only because I've passed them. I've driven by their place before on the way to my own therapist office. Their phone number is 772-257-5264. And then Per Behavioral Health, I have never heard of them. I believe I've seen them, but I didn't realize it was a behavioral health place. The PUR, is like capitalized on the building or the sign. So it was interesting to find out that they were a behavioral health institution. So their number is 772-584-3692. All right, and that is basically it, I believe. I just want to make sure. Potential resources. Voice disorder is treated. Yeah, that looks like it. I do want to talk one more thing. So, basically, the impact on individuals, the impact IED can have. I was in a domestic violence relationship for almost 6 years. I like to say 5 because I don't want to think of it any longer than that. But he definitely had major issues, mental health and everything, and he didn't, not to say men, but he specifically had no interest in seeking help or even admitting he had issues. But he would definitely explode and break things and even hit me and all that stuff. And the impact that his issues had, his explosions had on me was far greater than I ever realized. I definitely saw the physical aspect while we were together, but I never really realized the mental and psychological toll that it was taking on me until years after I got away from him. I have been away for about 5-6 years now. So the same amount of time I was in the relationship, and now I'm starting to really realize, okay, you know, the Jennifer I was back then before him and I got together, even in the beginning, totally different than who I am now. And that's because of him. I would not be who I am today because of him. I wouldn't have used drugs. I can't say alcohol, but definitely drugs. I wouldn't have been through a lot of things that I went through. But I definitely wouldn't be here right now doing human services, I don't think. And that's something good that came out of the situation for sure. But it had a lot of negative effects on me mentally, psychologically, emotionally. I still haven't recovered from. So individuals with IED, they can lead to some serious long-term issues for other people. And I firsthand experiencing that and finally realizing, I got to get my own mess together and basically not move on, but like heal from it in order for me to be better. That's it. I definitely just wanted to add that because it does have very long-term effects on people. And that's it.